What's up and welcome to the Disorderly Top 10 TV Shows of 2020. This is Nick Risner. You can find me on Twitter at Nick Risner, NickRizner. Now, obviously, I completely understand that depending on when you're listening to this, either January 31st, early February, whatever it is, it's late, right? It's a late release. I'm sorry. Life gets in the way sometimes, but better late than never. These are still my top 10 shows of 2020, and I actually need a little extra time to squeeze in some of these late 2020 releases. Obviously, a weird year. You had, the pandemic halting production, delaying some shows, things like that. So it was a bit of a strange year as far as the timetable of when this got released, but these are definitively my top 10 shows of 2020. So let's get into it. Number 10, Search Party. Have you ever watched a TBS original series? Because no, me neither. Which is why Search Party, I think, has eluded me for all these years. It wasn't until it moved over to HBO Max that I finally, even caught wind of the show. And boy, did I catch up fast. Like 3 seasons in 3 days fast. Actually, technically, and I'm not counting it because it came out in 2021, but I watched 4 seasons in less than a week. It's got a quick wit. It's an intriguing mystery in itself, which is not even necessarily the point of the show. It's well-crafted characters. It really was a truly memorable experience of a TV show. It's rare that something, as much TV as I watch, that something sneaks up on me. So to be honest, I'm a little bit upset with, maybe not with TBS, but with my own opinions of TBS, because it makes me wonder if there's other shows on, non-HBO, FX, AMC channels, or of course the streaming services, Netflix, Amazon. How many other great shows are out there that I've just dismissed because they're not on one of these premium channels? I don't know. Also, shout out to Michael Showalter, one of my favorite people in comedy. Shout out Stella. Shout out Wet Hot American Summer. I love Michael Showalter, and I loved Search Party. Moving on to number 9, The Undoing. Hey, here's a hot take. Nicole Kidman, really good at acting. She's as A-list as it gets, so it's not exactly that hot of a take. But beginning with her roles on Big Little Lies, she's really taken the television world by storm, and The Undoing is a perfect follow-up for her. Perhaps not the most original plot, given the saturation that we see of crime dramas recently, even like crime documentaries. Someone's murdered, someone's arrested, the audience doesn't know if they did it or not, were they falsely accused, how are they going to convict this person, whatever. We've seen that plot before, but Kidman, her co-star Hugh Grant, they really elevated the show above some of those cliche sort of plot points. The mystery was engrossing. The twists and turns worked really well for me. I really did. I enjoyed The Undoing. I think it's worth the hype. Moving on to number 8, probably the most talked about show of 2020, The Queens Gambit. That is, of course, assuming you don't count Tiger King, which was for sure the most talked about show of 2020, for better or worse. But yeah, Queen's Gambit, based on the novel from 1983. The series creator, Scott Frank, had been trying to make a film adaptation of this book since as far back as 1992, but he was constantly met with hesitation due to the show being about chess and likely boring audiences. At least that was sort of the feedback he got. Well, I guess persistence is key, as they say, and clearly there's a ready and willing audience for a show about chess. Of course, it helps that Anna Taylor-Joy is an amazing actress. She's been in some other stuff. She's in Peaky Blinders, things like that, but I hope this kind of launched her into a new stratosphere of stardom and roles, because I do think she's amazing. I think the more Anna Taylor-Joy we get, the better. And the production value of the show is really just top quality as well. The Queen's Gambit is deserving of all the hype, even though I have 8 other shows higher on this list. That's just a compliment to those other shows. I really did enjoy The Queen's Gambit this year. Number 7, Curb Your Enthusiasm. Finally, Curb Your Enthusiasm felt like Curb Your Enthusiasm again. Now, as a massive Larry David fan, I love Seinfeld. I enjoyed season 9, the first season of Curb since 2011, so it was nice to just have it back into my life. But it felt like it was a little forced, almost as if someone was doing their best impression of what Curb used to be. You know what I mean? And this happens sometimes. It's almost like you're trying to recapture that former glory. But season 10, succeeded in recapturing the brilliance of the first 8 seasons. I mean, just the Spite Store plot alone was enough to sort of elevate this season into one of the best of 2020. Already renewed for season 11. We've got more Larry David on the horizon, and that's, a good thing for myself and, just TV fans in general. Number 6, Bojack Horseman. Who would have thought that a show about a cartoon horse who used to be a 90s sitcom star and is now a washed-up alcoholic, who's desperate to regain his former glory and respect, could have such a profound and lasting effect on an audience. Quite simply, Bojack Horseman is one of the best pieces of art that television has produced over the past decade. In its final season, it ended as strongly as it began 6 seasons ago. No spoilers, but that second to last episode, it still sticks with me. I still think about it. I'm honestly sad to see it go. Brilliant series. If for some reason you dismissed it because it's a cartoon about a cartoon horse, don't. Go back, watch it. It is a profound television show. I loved Bojack Horseman. It'll be missed. Number 5, The Haunting of Bly Manor. Okay, so I have a bone to pick with The Haunting of Hill House, the precursor to The Haunting of Bly Manor, and I seem to be in the clear minority here. People seem to love Hill House, but I simply can't get past my dislike for Michael Huseman. Or Mikhail, I could be pronouncing his name wrong. I can't even really explain what it is about him. He just rubs me the wrong way. Whether it's the Dario Naharis in Game of Thrones or the slain Alexander in The Flight Attendant, he just takes me out of the moment whenever he's on screen. I don't know. I'm a hater. Like I said, again, I feel like people seem to love him or love at least the shows he's in. I obviously liked Game of Thrones, but he was kind of a smaller part. Anyway, The Haunting of Bly Manor is without Mikhail Huseman, and it's a much better show. Highly recommended. Sorry I spent the whole time shitting on that actor, but The Haunting of Bly Manor was awesome. Give it a shot. If you, like me, didn't like season 1, if you did like season 1, obviously give it a shot because, same show, same people. So, I loved it. Haunting of Bly Manor, I really enjoyed. Number 4, The Plot Against America. Now, this is a bit of a break from the rest of the shows on this list. The Plot Against America is a historical drama that reimagines the days of Charles Lindbergh through the eyes of a Jewish American family living in New Jersey. Right, so it draws parallels with the rise of Hitler and World War II era Europe. This put things in kind of a new perspective that seemed to make the horrible events of the Holocaust hit even harder because you're seeing them happen in your own backyard. It's as if, they started popping up at concentration camps. Basically what happened in World War II Europe, as if that was happening in the United States, in New Jersey, seeing Jewish Americans being treated like the European Jews. Brilliant performance from the whole cast as well. Winona Ryder in there, John Turturro. I thought it was really good. I thought it was a really interesting take on sort of that difficult time in humanity, and I learned a lot. I thought it was a good show. All right, we're in the top 3 now. These are my top 3 shows of 2020. What We Do in the Shadows, number 3. Possibly the most overlooked show on television right now. It's a hilarious mockumentary that is essentially MTV True Life I Am a Vampire. What We Do in the Shadows made me laugh out loud probably more times than anything on TV this year. It's created by Jermaine Clement, one half of Flight of the Conchords. Love Flight of the Conchords and pretty much everything he touches, even from a directorial standpoint. I just think he's one of the funniest people on the planet. Of course, this TV show, if you've heard of the movie, is an adaptation of the critically acclaimed film starring Jermaine. Jermaine is not in the TV show, but it's just really well done, really well written. I love how they created this very strange world, obviously, but the way they play with it, it's just very sharply done. Season 1 was great. I think season 2 is even better. Yeah, What We Do in the Shadows is definitely a show that deserves more attention and more credit because it's brilliant. Number 2, Dave. Now, this was the biggest surprise of the year for me. I mean, I have plenty of friends that tell me how excited they were about this series, and it was certainly given the full promotional weight of FX. But to be honest, I was never much of a Lil Dicky fan. It's as simple as that. It's not that he's lacking talent. I've just never been a huge fan of the whole comedy hip-hop thing. I'm a comedy fan. I love rap. Comedy hip-hop's never really done it for me, so imagine my surprise when Dave turned out to be not only tolerable, but downright delightful. I mean, I loved it. So if you're sitting where I'm sitting and you didn't watch it for that reason, you don't like Lil Dicky, please don't dismiss the show. Watch it. If you're like probably the millions of people that made the show successful, then you already know what I'm talking about. But Dave was really, really well done. Had the right touch of heart. Very, very funny show. Andrew Santino was great. It's nice to see him in sort of a big TV role because I basically know him from stand-up and from his podcast. So it's nice to see him there. But yeah, Dave was really well done. And finally, my number 1 show of 2020, Normal People. And there you have it. My number 1 choice for this roller coaster of a year. An understated sort of Irish love story with a great soundtrack, a pair of really memorable performances, and an abundance of heart and realism. It was released probably about 1 month after COVID really took a stranglehold on our lives. So Normal People provided a much needed distraction, proved to be the reprieve we all needed. Again, in addition to Tiger King, the real hero of this year's television slate. Normal People was amazing. It really, really good. Yeah, that's it. That's all I got to say about it. It was awesome. It was my number 1 show of the year. I highly recommend you watch it. And that'll do it for my disorderly top 10 TV shows of the year. Thanks for listening, guys. Rate, review, subscribe. Give us a thumbs up, a subscribe on YouTube as well. And again, you can find me on Twitter at Nick Risner, NickRizner. And that'll do it for me. Peace, guys.